The new trade agreement between the United States and Japan is a pivotal moment in global economics. It sends a loud and unmistakable message to America's allies. Friendship doesn't mean immunity, not anymore. In this video, I will also discuss what this deal means for the U.S. China tariff negotiations. So President Trump has just announced what he calls, quote, the largest trade deal in history.
I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan.
The deal involves a sweeping $550 billion Japanese investment into the United States economy, alongside significant U.S. tariff reductions on Japanese imports. In return, and arguably to its own long-term detriment, Japan has agreed to open up long-protected sectors of its economy, including agriculture, which was one of the biggest issues domestically, and automotive exports. But what does this mean for other U.S. allies, countries like South Korea, the U.K., or even European Union members who are still negotiating their own relationships with Washington? Let's break it down. The U.S.-Japan deal marks a shift in U.S. trade strategy. At the heart of this deal is, of course, Trump's signature America First trade policy, one that does not distinguish much between rivals and allies when it comes to economic advantage. Historically, allies like Japan, the UK, and South Korea have enjoyed relatively favorable trade terms with the United States, but this new deal makes it very clear. Even close allies must now compete and do so on Trump's terms. As one of the senior advisors on Japanese business strategy puts it, it is very clear that allies deserve special treatment, but it is also very clear that they will not get a free pass. This approach signals a deeper shift in the global trade dynamic. We're not just seeing new deals, we're seeing a new global playbook. Here are the key elements of the new U.S.-Japan deal. Let's take a closer look at what's inside the agreement. Specifically, we will discuss tariffs, agriculture, investment, and exclusions. These are very, very important. Let's start with tariffs. The United States will reduce its import tariffs on Japanese cars from 25% to 15%, offering relief to Japanese auto industry, which sends more than 25% of its total exports to the American market. Next up, agriculture. Japan will allow more U.S. rice and other agricultural products into its market, although Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba insists that this move fits within existing duty-free quotas and that no sacrifices are made. Investments. Japan pledges to invest $550 billion in the U.S. economy, which is a significant boost that could reshape domestic industries and jobs. And next up, exclusions. Notably, the agreement does not address the long-standing tariffs on Japanese steel and aluminum, nor does it include defense spending commitments. This agreement puts pressure on America's other trading partners, especially those in Asia. South Korea, for example, hasn't yet finalized a deal with the United States, but intense negotiations are already underway. With the August 1st deadline looming, analysts believe that the Japan agreement was actually intentionally timed to push others to the table. While allies like Japan are making concessions, China stands apart. Despite ongoing trade talks, Beijing holds more leverage than any other partner. Its central role in global supply chains and its near monopoly on rare earth elements gives it strategic weight in negotiations. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent admitted it this week too. He said the situation is completely different when it comes to China, and it is indeed different. It is China who has the upper hand, not the United States. Next week, a third round of high-level U.S.-China trade talks will be held in Sweden this time, but analysts are not really expecting a quick resolution. The stakes are very, very high. Actually, they're higher than they were in London, and the leverage is more balanced. However, both sides are playing a long game, and of course, China fully understands that the United States needs critical minerals, and so that is going to be the foundation of any future negotiations. In Japan, Prime Minister Ishiba is walking a political tightrope, if you will. Despite his government suffering a major loss in the recent upper house elections, he has pushed forward with the agreement, rejecting claims that he is about to resign. On the economic side, Japanese markets reacted favorably to the U.S.-Japan agreement. The Nikkei index actually surged 2% in early trading, led by increases in Toyota and Honda stock. But not everyone is celebrating. American automakers have voiced strong opposition to the U.S.-Japan deal. They criticized the deal for giving Japanese imports an edge over North American-made vehicles, which still face a 25% tariff. And some observers have noted that by excluding key sectors like metals and defense, the deal may lack the comprehensive scope that is needed to truly rebalance trade, as Trump has promised. Nevertheless, the U.S.-Japan deal is a mark of a new trade order, one where bilateral pressure replaces multilateral diplomacy and where even traditional allies are expected to offer substantial concessions to the United States. Will it work in the long term? Well, we're about to see. However, without a doubt, for U.S. allies, this deal is a wake-up call. If Japan, America's largest foreign investor with over $2 trillion in U.S. assets, had to bend to avoid escalating tariffs, what does that really mean for smaller or less economically integrated partners? The message is very, very simple. Align quickly, negotiate aggressively, or face the consequences. Trump has already hinted that this is only the beginning of a new trade negotiations process. He announced that European Union negotiators are actually arriving in Washington as we speak, and that suggests that new agreements with the EU could be next. At the same time, the U.S. remains open to extending the August 1st deadline if it sees meaningful progress, according to the White House. With nearly $230 billion in two-way trade and a $70 billion Japanese trade surplus in 2024, this deal clearly reshapes one of America's most critical economic relationships, but also it resets the expectations of other partners. Allies across the world are now on notice. America's trade strategy has changed, and the question is, will they adapt in time? What are they going to do? How will they respond? Let me know what you think about the new deal in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments, how do you think this deal will reshape global trade? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. See you in my next one. Take care.